Hello and welcome to this Long Island Pine Barrens and environmental news update. We're going to talk about some stories here. This is going to be a new thing that we're going to do here is I'm going to read some articles about the Pine Barrens to you from various sources here. And there are a couple subjects that I want to bring up. And the first article that I want to bring up actually was in Riverhead News Review. And before I get started with reading you this article, I just want to say I have nothing against hunters. Hunting is part of the outdoor experience. However, I do not believe in closing off the woods so they can go ahead and hunt. And that's a problem I have. And so I'm going to read you this article. Link is in the description below, as with all the articles I read here. And this article is from the Riverhead News Review, and it says, officials urge residents to stay off the Epcal Trail during hunting season. So there's a trail basically around Epcal. I've showed you the woods there, and it's a beautiful place. But in January, from January 7th to January 31st, there is a hunting season. So I'm going to read you this article. Riverhead Town's recreation trail at the Enterprise Park at Calverton is closed from January 7th to January 31st to accommodate shotgun hunting season on the town-owned land. But not everyone is heeding that warning. One of the issues we've had this season was that someone was removing the signs during archery season, said Jerry Halpin, a member of the town's Wildlife Management Advisory Committee. The archery season took place from October 1st through December 22nd. Town Supervisor Laura Jens Smith said the town has had shotgun hunting for deer at Epcal for about 9 years. A lottery for town residents was held December 5th where hunters had to show proper photo identification and hunting documentation. Only those hunters are permitted during the current shotgun hunting season. This is the first year we've had the full Epcal Trail completed, she said. There was some concern over how it's being posted to let the community know that they cannot go on that trail. We've notified the press and posted it on our website and social media, but we feel we need to continue to notify the public that the trail is closed at this time for safety reasons. The town has police barricades saying, "Do not cross," and other smaller signs warning, "Deer hunting is in progress." Do not enter woods, walking trail closed, at various entrances to the trail, which is intended for walkers, joggers, and bike riders and other non-motorized uses. Prior to last year, the fenced-in trail only had about 3 acres paved, but now the trail goes all the way down River Road to Grumman Boulevard, where it heads west and comes back north to its starting point near the dog park. Miss Jen Smith said no one is allowed on the trail until January 31st, and people who do go there could be fined up to $500 or sentenced up to 30 days in jail. Yeah, folks, 30 days in jail for just going on a hike. Welcome to New York. Mr. Halpin said that they have always seen people on the trail during hunting season in the past, but this year there's more of a concern because the trail is now complete. He feels part of the problem is with people who don't live in the town. There's a brazenness from those outside of Riverhead that somehow this is for them and that no one else can have it. And I've spoken to well over 100 people since August. The town is giving us pushback. People are swearing at us that are not from the town of Riverhead. There's a sense of empowerment now that the trail is complete, said Chris Witt, another member of the advisory committee. We want hunters to be able to use it for 3 months of the year. It helps to manage the deer population, which at some point will be a problem. The committee suggested requiring a sticker for town residents to use the trail. But Councilman Judy Giglio said the trail was paid for by the state and county funds. It's supposed to be a free recreation trail that's open to the public, she said. That's exactly the point. Police Chief David Hegermiller said that they are getting a large flashing road sign from the state to warn people that the trail is closed. These signs are often used to alert drivers to road closers, he said. If people see someone on the trail, they should call the desk officer. Police will get out and write tickets, and word will get out, and people will stop doing it, Mr. Halpin said. Mrs. Jen Smith said that for the remainder of the month, the education needs to continue to stay off the trail until January 31st. So we have a situation where people who want to go out and enjoy nature are being treated like criminals because there are people hunting there. You know, it's funny. And this policy is in effect, by the way, in all DEC managed lands. If you want to go to Rocky Point and hike, if you want to go to David A. Sarnoff Preserve and hike, You're not allowed in because when the hunting is going on, you're not allowed to hike in the woods. However, in the great state of New Jersey, they don't have rules like this in most of their parks. And even in upstate New York during hunting season, they don't have rules like this in their parks. When the hunting season is going on, you're supposed to be wearing bright colors, all right? And I agree that people should be wearing bright colors and make themselves visible. But to have a whole park closed for almost a month because of hunting is absolute ludicrous, and it's just another example of how poorly hikers are treated in the state. Yeah, oh, go ahead, arrest people who are hiking. Meanwhile, you have gangs in Riverhead. Hey, the police should be going after those real criminals, all right? But instead, they're diverting resources off to this nonsense, so a bunch of hunters can basically have the whole place to themselves. Again, I am not against hunting. I support hunting. We need to share the woods with hunters, but the hunters also need to share the woods with us, and that clearly is not going on Long Island. So the other article that I want to read to you, actually, this is just a brief statement from the Long Island Pine Barrens Society. I want to read to you some of the things in their newsletter, but I want to read to you this post from their Facebook. And it says, as part of their resolutions for 2019, the Pine Barrens Society will continue dedicating itself to stopping the senseless destruction of woodlands for solar panels that was witnessed in 2018. As you know, in March 2018, 60 acres of precious woodlands in Mastic, New York, that were proposed for preservation were clear-cut for the construction of solar panels. The Society takes no issue with solar power in itself, but hopes to change the way solar is sited. Long Island's towns should site solar facilities on rooftops, previously cleared land, and in parking lots. Luckily, through the Pine Barrens Society's efforts, the towns of Brookhaven, Southold, and Riverhead have all amended or agreed to amend their solar codes to require appropriate solar siting. In 2019, the Pine Barrens Society will devote itself to ensuring that remaining towns in Suffolk follow suit. So we're going to take a look at the newsletter from the Long Island Pine Barrens Society. I've got to find it here on their website. This is the other article here that I want to actually read to you. This is actually in Suffolk County. It's actually a report on News 12. We're going to look at this Suffolk. What's going on in Riverhead, and there's a potential for something really good to happen, is in Suffolk County, Riverhead is mulling a partnership in a Peconic land acquisition. So this is land along the Peconic River in Riverhead. Suffolk County is hoping to partner with the town of Riverhead to purchase 16 acres of land along the Peconic River. The town would then maintain the land as a park. Supervisor Laura Jen Smith said she is interested. However, some on the Riverhead Town Council say the project is too costly. Oh, please. You're talking about administrative costs, you're talking about engineering costs, just basic upkeep with buildings and grounds, said Councilman James Wooten. Wooten says the county faces topographical challenges and require Department of Environmental Conservation regulations and permitting. You're talking about hundreds of dollars, said Wooten. But environmentalist Richard Amper of the Long Island Pine Barrens Society disagrees. This is a spectacular place. It would not take much to maintain. It would make Riverhead a real devoted member of the environment, said Amper. And I totally agree with him, and I'm glad he's speaking up about this. So that's another news story for you at the environment, and that was actually covered on News 12 very briefly. All right, so this is the update from the Long Island Pine Barrens Society that I want to read to you. I want to just talk about some of the issues that they're going to be talking about and some of the issues that I'm going to also be talking about here. Number one, they're going to continue to contribute to negotiations that led to the protection of 800 acres of valuable pine barrens in Shoreham. This acquisition was included in the 2018 state budget and will begin to be financed by the state in 2019. The land includes vast, fragile wetlands, thousands of ecologically valuable trees, rare plants that vary ecosystems, and hundreds of species. The acquisition was a major topic of discussion during the Society's May TV program. All right, they have a TV program. The links are below. I provide all the links to all this stuff so you can see it yourself. The other issue that they are going to be involved in is lobbying for the permanent end to the clear cutting of the woodlands for the construction of solar farms. And we talked about this before. After more than 60 acres of pine barrens in Mastic were clear cut in March 2018, the Society lobbied town governments to amend their town codes to require the appropriate siting of solar farms on rooftops, parking lots, or previously cleared lands. And through their efforts, 3 towns have already amended or promised to amend their town codes to reflect this idea, including Brookhaven, Riverhead, and Southold. So that's some good news as well. The other thing we're going to talk the other issue that they're going to be involved in here is continuing their ongoing campaign to reverse the trend of declining water quality on Long Island. And this is an issue basically because they're advocating basically for the replacement of contaminating cesspools and septic systems across the island. And they're going to look at different types of systems, with in regards to, because right now septic systems, they create a lot of nitrates in the water. Long Island, unlike New Jersey, many parts of Long Island, particularly out in Suffolk County, use cesspools. They don't have a sewer system, and that's a big problem. It's really messed up. I don't know why. When you look at most of Ocean County, they have a sewer system, but not Suffolk County, and it's kind of screwed up. And we need to think about changing that, having more sewer systems. Also, they have different types of basically wastewater management that they can use for households that are much better for the environment. The last issue that I want to bring up that they're going to be involved is providing leadership in the continuing fight against the Southern Pine Beetle. More than 20,000 trees have been killed on Long Island by the Southern Pine Beetle since its discovery in October 2014. In 2017, New York allocated $3 million to fight the pine beetle across the state, and 2018 saw this expansion in progress. So we saw that expansion, and in February, the state DEC gave $275,000 in grants to 5 projects on the island designed to slow the spread of this southern pine beetle. The financial support is helping forest management experts cut down trees. These are basically cutting down infested trees and trees around those infested trees to stop the spread. And through these cutting and subsequent replanting efforts, the hope is to be able to manage the southern pine beetle threat. And lastly, what I've talked about in the weather, wanting the cold weather, that's why I want the cold weather, because the cold weather helps control the beetles. And the warmer winters we've had are a huge problem when it comes to these southern pine beetles. And that's why we need the cold weather. But due to climate change, we're having warmer and warmer winters, and this is a real problem. And so we have to adapt in a way. I think that I still would like to see the use of more controlled burning going on in our forests. I think there's a reason why New Jersey's pine barrens have not been hit as hard by the southern pine beetle, despite the fact New Jersey is actually substantially warmer, especially in the summertime. And that is because their Forest Service does very frequent controlled burns, which help basically eliminate that threat. The beetles won't survive it. It also helps clear out all the brush, and it gives the pines a little more room to breathe. So that fire is very important to the pine barrens. That's one thing they leave out, I think, that they need to stress more. We need more fires in our pine barrens, more controlled burns, for sure. You could have New Jersey's Forest Fire Service come here and do it if need be, Well, like I said, sometimes I think Long Island would be better as part of New Jersey than part of New York, but that's a whole another thing. Anyway, that is going to wrap up this environmental news update. Again, getting back to that whole thing with the hunting, I'm just going to make myself clear on this. Once again, I have no problem with hunters. Unfortunately, on Long Island, a lot of the predators for deer have been wiped out. They've been, because of all the overdevelopment, because of excessive hunting, wolves. We used to have wolves on Long Island. We don't have that anymore, and that's a big problem. And so we have this overpopulation of deer, which is also exacerbated by the fact that we have all this development going on, so there's less space for the deer to live on. Hunting is kind of a way of trying to get that population under control, and also it's not a sport hunting. All the deer that are killed are used for food or venison, which happens to actually be very good. Arby's had a venison sandwich, I think it was last year. It was excellent. If you eat meat, you have no right to complain about hunting, right? If you eat meat, it's one thing if you're a vegetarian, but if you eat meat, you have no right to complain about hunting, all right? Because that, they try to do it as humanely as possible, and it's just trying to mimic the natural cycles. The problem I have is that when the hunting is in progress, people aren't allowed into the woods, and this is a big problem. Most other parts of the country don't have this. It's just another nanny state kind of government thing. Goes, if you go into the woods, you're going to get arrested because that's the nanny state for you. They just want to control your lives. and they don't want you to go into the woods, and therefore that's part of the reason why this month we really can't go to a lot of places on Long Island, and it really does stink. I'm afraid I can't afford to go to jail just for hiking, and that's sad that's the kind of threats that they use. While we have bums hanging out in our train stations and in our woods, and they don't go to jail, of course, right? That's the misplaced priorities. But let's not get into a rant. I want to thank you for watching. Take care.